Today I will be talking about autism spectrum disorder. So, a brief background about autism. So, it is a neurological disorder that results in limited communication abilities. So that might mean kids have trouble or people have trouble communicating their emotions, their needs. They may not talk as much. They may use nonverbal communication, or they may not even use that. It also includes repetitive behaviors, so wanting to repeat things, yeah, and then also impaired cognitive skills. So that means basically they might have limited comprehension, and they might be at a younger age mentally than they are physically, and this is among other symptoms. Recent research has revealed that autism has a strong genetic component, and this is because there are mutations in specific genes that are present in many individuals that have autism spectrum disorder, which is why scientists have understood autism to be a genetic disorder with environmental components. But there is an increased focus on the genetic component. And then one of the reasons for this new focus on genes in autism spectrum disorder is that many of these genes are involved in critical neurodevelopmental processes, which includes synaptogenesis, which is the formation of synapses. And synapses are basically the sites at which one neuron, which is a brain cell, sends a signal to another neuron, so another brain cell. And that's what synaptogenesis is, basically the formation of these synapses, which you can see right here. So this is the ending of one neuron, and it is sending a signal via neurotransmitters to the next neuron at the synapse. So these genes are also important for synaptic partner recognition, which I will be talking about in a moment. But synapses are important because they're basically where how brain cells communicate, so how a neuron sends a signal to another neuron. And that means that these correctly formed synapses are essential for proper nerve signaling and proper brain communication. And synaptic partner recognition is basically the process by which neurons find the correct synaptic targets from among the different neurites. So among the different axons and of the different brain cells. So, and along with synaptogenesis, these genetic mutations, they also affect different cellular processes, including synaptic plasticity, which means basically the ability to learn for the synapses to be shaped. Yeah. And the neuronal differentiation is basically how each unique neuron, because there are different types of brain cells, so these genes affect the formation of brain cells and determine which cell they eventually grow into. And they also affect neural signaling, or how the cells signal each other. So one example of this is the GRASP2 gene, which plays an important role in the functioning of the glutaminergic synapses and receptors. So that this is one kind of synapse, and the deletion of the GRASP2 gene causes impaired synaptic signaling in mice models. So this impaired synaptic signaling caused the mice to develop symptoms of autism. And basically this meant that the synapses, the neurons couldn't communicate well with each other, and that was the result that resulted in autistic behavior. And the GRASP2 gene deletion also caused alteration of the dendritic spines, and the dendrites are basically receive the signals. They're the part of the neuron that receive the signals. So by affecting them, that also affected the synaptic communication and the communication within the brain. Another factor in autism is actually the gut microbiome, which is linked to the brain. Because compared with neurotypical individuals, children with autism and people with autism are about 4 times more likely to suffer from gastrointestinal issues. And recent research has found that the gut microbiome and the brain are linked, which suggests that the gut health may be manipulated to improve brain health. And the role of the brain-gut microbiome axis, which is, as you can see right here, I won't go into the details, but basically the brain communicates with the gut very closely. And this might help scientists find treatments for the behavioral symptoms of ASD or autism spectrum disorder. And this is because the gut microbiome can be manipulated more easily through things like probiotics, fecal microbiota transplants, and other different types of treatments. So basically, it's easier to alter the gut microbiome than it is to alter the brain. So that is why scientists are focusing increasingly on the gut microbiome as well. And the way that the brain communicates with the stomach and the gut is through the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve is the longest cranial nerve. It extends from the brain's base, which is the medulla oblongata, to all the way to the abdomen, and this allows the vagus nerve to convey information from the gut to the brain and to produce the proper response based on the gut's microbial environment. So based on whatever microbes are present within the gut. And the vagus nerve's afferent fibers receive the signals from the microbes in the stomach. And the signals could include bacterial metabolites, so things that the bacteria uses or disposes of through metabolism, and it could also include information from the gut's epithelial cells. So basically, in healthy adult humans who are neurotypical, gut microbiota mostly includes bacteroidetes and firmicutes, and then yeasts, phages, actinobacteria, proteobacteria, Rheumocoma microbia, and methanogenic archaea. And the chemoreceptors of the vagus nerve sense the hormones that are produced by the gut, and the afferent fibers sense the bacterial products. And compared to these neurotypical individuals, there are studies that have shown that there's a lot more, or there's a difference in the presence of the anaerobic bacteria Clostridiales in people with autism spectrum disorder. And in people with both autism spectrum disorder and GI problems, Clostridium bolte was present, and although the specific mechanisms by which the bacteria affect individuals is still largely unknown, it's been shown that increased blood metabolite levels of this bacteria in patients with autism spectrum disorder have led scientists to suggest that, or to hypothesize, that Clostridium bolte may produce a neurotoxin that causes neuronal damage in either the central nervous system, the CNS, or the enteric nervous system, which is the gut microbiome, and that would both of those would negatively impact brain function. So therefore, the microbes inhabiting the gut play a critical role in GI health, as well as in behavioral and mental health. Another thing that linked to the gut microbiome that scientists have found is that maternal obesity during pregnancy may actually result in the developmental of neurological disorders like autism spectrum disorder. And this is due to the fact that changes in the gut microbiome as a result of a maternal high-fat diet causes obesity, and this leads to dysbiosis within the child, which blocks the function of a part of the brain called the mesolimbic system. And in studies of mice, it's been shown that offspring of obese mothers who were fed this type of diet, of this high-fat diet, had social impairments that were similar to those of ASD, and it was found to be the result of a lack of the bacterium Lactobacillus reuteri. And the scientists were able to amend this by housing the antisocial mice or the ASD mice with wild type mice, and this was because they actually eat each other's poop, so they got the fecal microbiota transplant that way. So this suggests that reintroduction of the Lactobacillus reuteri, which increases oxytocin production and that increases social behavior, has the power to negatively or reverse the negative impact of the maternal high-fat diet. So the reintroduction of the bacterium offers a potential treatment for autism spectrum disorder, but this still needs to be done on humans because it hasn't been done on anything except mice. So basically, we've learned that the enteric nervous system, which is the gut microbiome, plays an essential role in neurological development, And the communication between the gut and the brain means that the health of the microbiome affects behavioral and neurological health as well as GI health. And scientists have shown that the microbiome can be manipulated by introduction of certain species of bacteria to offer a cure for ASD, but this still needs to be tested on humans. However, advances in scientists' understanding of the link between the gut and the brain suggest that ASD treatment may soon be a possibility. Thank you for listening.